The dais, so I'll go ahead and call to order the regular Wednesday, June 6th, 2018 meeting of the Sacramento Local Agency Formation Commission. Ask for a roll call, please.
Commissioner Peters? Greenwood?
Here.
Frost? Here. Jones?
Here.
Harrison?
Here.
Commissioner Hume?
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Very good. Now, if you please address the flag and join Commissioner Frost in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very good. Thank you. This meeting of the Local Agency Formation Commission is cablecast live on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel on Comcast, Consolidated Communications, and AT&T UVerse. The meeting is also webcast at www.sacmetrocable.tv. And today's meeting will be repeated Friday, June 9th at 4 p.m. and Tuesday, June 12th at 2 p.m. on Channel 14. This meeting is also closed captioned. We ask that you please turn off or silence any cell phones or noise-making devices at this time. Speaker slips are located at the table in the back of the room and on the front podium. Please fill them out and hand them to our clerk, Diane Thorpe, up here at the front, so it can call you up if you wish to speak on any agendized item or non-agendized item. Thank you. All right, now moving on, we will move to public comment from the floor. Is there anyone that would like to address anything that is not an agendized matter? And seeing no one rush the podium, we'll go ahead and move on to the consent calendar.
Mr. Chair, I move consent.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Jones.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Frost. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Madam Clerk, if you'd please read the next item.
The next item is fiscal year 2018-2019 contracts.
We're not doing consent?
Beg pardon?
Never mind.
Just very briefly for the benefit of the Commission and the public, these are contracts to memorialize the continued effective relationships we have with various consultants for legal, environmental, and fiscal support, as well as auditing services. The contracts are all with your packet. The fiscal's been already addressed within your proposed and final budgets. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Very good. Any questions for the executive officer? No? Any questions from anyone in the audience tonight? No? Okay. In that case, I'll close public comment and move to a motion. All right. I have a motion from Commissioner Frost, a second from Commissioner Greenwood. All those in favor say aye. Aye?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? All right. And now on to the next item, please.
If you could hold on one moment. We're waiting for Commissioner Peters, and then we'll post the
I thought
voting.
it was an aye vote.
Thank you.
My apologies. I'm used to a roll call, or I mean a voice vote.
6-0 motion passed. Thank you. Next item is CalAFCO Board of Directors nominations.
Just briefly, this is the statewide association, CalAFCO, which this commission is a member. I believe all 58 counties, all 58 LAFCOs are members. The board is made up of regions within, and Sacramento LAFCO falls within the central region. The central region has 2 upcoming vacancies, one of which will be for special district members, one of which would be for Sac County Commissioner member. City members or alternates are eligible to be nominated. They need to be nominated by your commission. The nomination forms have to be in by early September 4th, I believe. We're having it on the agenda this evening in light of our July recess. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Very good. Any questions for the executive officer? No? Anybody wishing to speak on this item? No? Okay, in that case, I will entertain a motion to nominate.
Yes, I'd like to nominate Commissioner Jones.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Harrison.
Second.
A second by Commissioner Frost. Are we going to mark? Yes, we'll mark on this one. It's a nail biter, Gay. Oh, you made it.
Thank you.
It's only the nomination. Thank you.
Motion passed. Thank you. Next item is Final sphere of influence amendment for the City of Folsom proposed corporation yard, final environmental impact report, and final municipal service review, and will be approving and adopting resolutions certifying the final environmental impact report. The commission is also findings of facts and statements of overriding considerations, and resolution for mitigation monitoring and reporting for program sphere of influence amendments, and resolution approving proposed sphere of influence amendments, municipal service review, and the application of sphere of influence amendments to the City of Folsom.
All right, very good.
Briefly, as made clear, the commission is considering a city-initiated, actually it's a joint effort between the landowner, Aerojet, and the city of Folsom to amend the sphere of influence for municipal purposes south of White Rock Road, just adjacent to the current city limits, which is on the north side of White Rock Road. This work is being brought to you this evening as a result of a memorandum of understanding that was approved by your commission to allow the preparation of a single environmental impact report that both your commission can rely on for this evening's actions, and subsequently the City of Folsom can rely on for their land use entitlement processes, general plans, pre-zoning, what has to happen at the local level. In the event those two steps are accomplished, it would come back as an annexation proposal for the consideration of your commission. The proposals would be an annexation. The sphere is both for the City of Folsom as well as the Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District. Sacramento Regional takes care of wastewater treatment. The conveyance will be by the city, the facilities of the city of, the collection and conveyance will be by the City of Folsom. This would be, in the event of moving forward for the annexation, there would be a reorganization that will go into greater detail at that time, but several affected special districts, none of whom have raised any issues so far. The site itself, 58 acres at essentially the intersection roughly of White Rock Road and Prairie City Road. It's largely going to be about 60+% would be dedicated to a consolidated municipal corporation yard so that the city can bring together operations in 5 different locations spread throughout the city right now, achieve some economies of scale, some fiscal and operational and environmental benefits by using this site. There's also going to be some dedication of right-of-way to the Southeast Connector Joint Powers Authority for the extension or improvements of the connector on the alignment of White Rock. A little bit of will be set aside for a realignment of Scott Road. There has been, during the meet and confer process between the city and the county of Sacramento, these issues were discussed and agreed to of how they would be constructed and financed by both in partnership between the city and the county of Sacramento. And also there'll be a small less than an acre easement provided to enhance the access to the Prairie City State off-highway vehicle recreation area. It's a little tricky to get to now, since the master plan for the park calls for actually having an entrance off of Prairie City Road, so that might help for the benefit of the public being able to find the location. The sphere of influence, what's before you this evening, the sphere of both Folsom and City of Folsom and Regional Sanitation. Its primary purpose is to facilitate long-range opportunities to do the comprehensive planning necessary to put in place the means and capacity and financing that can then be implemented at the time of a change in jurisdiction for land use, such as through an annexation. One of the issues we have addressed thoroughly through the municipal service review as well as the environmental impact report will be the issue of water service. The City of Folsom has access to water rights through Folsom, and but also portions of the city are served through San Juan Community Services District and San Juan Water District. Those arrangements will continue, and they will piggyback off the existing or proposed infrastructure plans layout for the 3,500 acre Folsom Plan area north of White Rock, between White Rock and Highway 50. Wastewater will be incorporated in the same fashion. So most all of these issues as far as providing services will be borrowing from information already analyzed and approved to serve the area to the north. The addition of this 50-acre, 30-acre use site is considered not to be of a great enough impact to concern the delivery of services elsewhere. As mentioned, the city and county have had an effective meet and confer process. They did sit down and discuss issues of land use, development, timing, transportation. They sat down on 2 occasions, and it did result in an MOU. So going forward, those issues should be readily resolved. One condition we are placing is consistent with the Cortez and Knox-Hertzberg, the LAFCO oversight criteria code. Because this is being proposed as a municipal-only use with some other public benefits of the acreage, right away, that sort of thing, we have discussed this with city staff, and they have no objection, that in the event this land, after conveyance from Aerojet to the city of Folsom, at any time, any portion of that land ceases to be publicly owned, it would that portion that would have been conveyed to a private interest would cease to be considered to be annexed, and the sphere of influence would revert back to exclude any of that area. That's to give the commission and the public certainty that this is going to be a project strictly for public interest, public good, and municipal uses. We do have a couple of staff members from the city of Folsom, Steve Wang, the city attorney, and Dave Nugan, Public Works Director. Also, we have Amanda, our environmental consultant. We have a brief PowerPoint. I'd like to give the commission the background of the CEQA work. Happy to answer any questions prior to that. Otherwise, we can move to the PowerPoint.
Any questions prior to the PowerPoint? No? Proceed.
Can we have the PowerPoint, please?
Good evening, my name is Amanda Oligzulin. I'm a principal with Ascent Environmental. I'm also accompanied here tonight by Elizabeth Boyd, who is the project manager for this project. Don gave a great overview of why we're here tonight. The city and LAFCO have engaged in a process to prepare an environmental impact report for the project. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to recap the analysis provided in the environmental impact report, as well as you are considering whether to approve the sphere of influence amendments before you tonight. Don had given an overview, and this is a map that kind of provides some context and location to where the site is located. It's located just south of the city of Folsom. It's approximately 58 acres, and it is outside the city's sphere of influence as well as the urban services boundary. Zooming in a little bit, you can see how the surrounding land uses to the project site. Just east and south is the Prairie City State Vehicular Recreation Area. To the north is the planned and approved Folsom Plan Area Specific Plan Development. And undeveloped land surrounds the site to the east and the south. Just along the northern border is White Rock Road. That roadway has been approved for the Southeast Connector, which is a 35-mile limited access roadway providing connection from El Dorado Hills to I-5 in Elk Grove. Don covered the requested entitlements. There is a multi-step process of entitlements under consideration here tonight, as well as with the city of Folsom. Tonight's considerations are the sphere of influence amendments to the city of Folsom, as well as Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District. Should that be approved, the city will consider annexation of the site to the city of Folsom and Sacramento County Regional Sanitation District, as well as detachment from a variety of agencies, including County Service Area Number 1, the Wilton-Cosumnes Park and Recreation Area, as well as detachment from the Slough House Resource Conservation District. The City of Folsom's entitlements include a general plan amendment to redesignate the site from general agricultural 80 in the county's general plan to public quasi-public facility uses, which is consistent with corporation yard uses, as well as pre-zoning the site if ultimate annexation does occur to an industrial designation, and it's currently a special planning area in the county's general plan, and then subsequent to that, annexation to the city. This is a little bit more detail on the land use plan. This is a co-application between the City of Folsom as well as Aerojet to ultimately sell the project site to the city and develop a corporation yard facility. The city is engaged in a longstanding process to identify its corporation yard needs through a facility needs assessment, and has determined that inadequate services are available to meet the build-out demands within the city. That process involved the evaluation of a number of alternative locations within the city and adjacent and near to the city, and this site was ultimately selected as the best fitting site to meet the city's needs. The site does have some constraints. There are power lines running through the site, as well as the Capital Southeast connector. The area in yellow is the area where corporation yard uses would be located. It's approximately 36 acres. The Southeast connector in purple would cover approximately 6 acres, and as Don indicated, as part of the Southeast connector, Scott Road will need to be realigned, and that realignment will traverse the southern and eastern boundary of the project site, and the area in gray has been designated for those roadway alignments. The easement access to Prairie City is also identified in green there. We were here a bit ago, a couple months ago, to discuss the release of the draft environmental impact report. It was a full scope program environmental impact report that evaluated the full complement of resources on your screen. The results of that analysis determined that for 5 resource areas, significant and unavoidable impacts would occur. And while we covered it in the meeting, I'll provide you just a brief overview. Significant and unavoidable impacts were identified for aesthetics. The project site sits in a scenic vista with undeveloped lands. It's also a locally designated scenic corridor along Scott Road. And while we're going to put industrial corporation yard uses and mitigation to reduce the visual effects of the project, because the site would turn from an undeveloped landscape to a developed landscape, the EIR concluded that significant and unavoidable impacts would occur. Significant agricultural resource impacts were identified. The project site is greater than 50 acres and would be developed. Under the county's policy standards, any grazing land, and the site is designated as grazing land, any grazing land greater than 50 acres developed would be considered a significant impact. In addition, under the Cortese-Knox-Hertzberg Act, the requirements for identifying whether the site is prime farmland under the Story Index ratings, greater than 80% of the site has an 80 rating or higher in terms of its land classifications. Mitigation was recommended in the EIR to include one-to-one replacement of habitat and farmland uses, and that mitigation, while it would reduce the environmental impacts because land would be developed as part of the project, significant and unavoidable impacts would remain. It should be noted that the mitigation for land and habitat replacement is consistent with the mitigation requirements of the county's policies, as well as the proposed South Sacramento County habitat conservation requirements. With regard to biological resources, because of the loss of land, undeveloped land that can serve as foraging habitat for Swainson's hawk and other raptors, a significant impact was identified. Similarly, mitigation for the one-to-one loss of quality habitat consistent with county policies was recommended. Nonetheless, significant and unavoidable impacts would remain. Regarding energy, while there are no significant energy impacts related to provision of services, it was acknowledged that the extension of off-site infrastructure to the site could require some construction-related impacts, the details of which are unknown because we're in the kind of preliminary design phase. So the EIR acknowledged conservatively that potentially significant and unavoidable impacts would occur, but would be evaluated at the time of proposal. And finally, regarding noise, the project site as identified on the exhibit sits just south of the approved Folsom Plan Area Specific Plan. Construction of the project is anticipated to occur in the next 5 to 7 years. If development of residences or sensitive receptors are located adjacent to the project site prior to construction of this project, the EIR acknowledged that some potentially significant noise, construction-related noise impacts could occur. Mitigation is recommended to reduce those impacts, but because of the nature of the details of project construction activities and timing, it concluded that it would be significant and unavoidable. For all other resource areas identified in italics on your screen, those impacts were determined to be less than significant or less than significant with mitigation. So where we are is that the draft EIR was released for a 45-day public review period on February 5th. During that review, we received 8 comment letters from members of the public, community groups, as well as public agencies. The nature of those comments are summarized here on the screen, and I'll just walk through them. Some of the comments addressed some typographical corrections to the text of the EIR. The removal of county service area number 10 was not applicable to the project site. Some of the requests were to relocate certain of the discussion within the text of the EIR, and so that was accommodated, as well as changes to mitigation requirements. There were some requests to remove and or add certain provisions to the mitigation requirements. The Sacramento Metropolitan Air Quality Management District wanted to include some fuel use standards for operation of the facility. Sacramento County commented on the cumulative impacts related to the HCP, so clarification was provided in the mitigation, indicating that the city would coordinate with resource agencies to ensure that the mitigation land that is ultimately selected as mitigation complies with the requirements of the South Sacramento County HCP in order to achieve the goals and objectives of that plan. And then finally, a community group commented on the Swainson's Hawk mitigation and actually requested that one element of the mitigation be removed from the analysis. The city and LAFCO reviewed these requests and determined they were appropriate for the analysis. A mitigation monitoring and reporting program has been compiled that includes all of the latest mitigation, and it is under consideration here tonight. So just to conclude, we're getting down to the end of the process. Again, it's a multi-step process between SAC-LAFCO as well as the City of Folsom, and so we are in the hearing process, which is expected to conclude in the next month or so, with consideration of EIR certification and the sphere of influence amendments here tonight. And I'm happy to take any comments that you have.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Amanda? Yeah, Commissioner Jones.
Perhaps I misheard, but just to reiterate, there's over 16 acres of this area that will help to accommodate the building of the corridor, correct?
The Southeast Connector, correct.
Yes.
Approximately 16 acres. Mm-hmm.
Very good, thank you.
Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yeah, Commissioner Harris.
My question is on the mitigation of replacing agricultural land and also replacing or at least buffering for impact on habitat, or for the Swainson Hawk in particular. I read their letter. Knowing that the city is relatively developed, and I know it's not required at this time to identify exactly where, but is the city confident that they have the capability of providing the agricultural land mitigation that's called for in the environmental impact report? And also, specifically, do they have any plans for how they're going to offset the impact on the Swainson Hawk and others by impacting the habitat in that area, which currently has Swainson Hawk?
Correct. I'll let the city respond on its capability, but this is a mitigation standard, so development of the site cannot proceed without satisfying the requirements of the mitigation. As indicated in the mitigation related to the South Sacramento County HCP, the Swainson's Hawk, the mitigation land can serve dual purposes for agricultural replacement as well as meet the quality standards for Swainson's Hawk habitat, foraging habitat, and so coordination with the resource agencies on that land would be required prior to proceeding with the project, but I'll see if the city has anything.
Thank you, Amanda. Good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the Commission. My name is Stephen Wang. I am the City Attorney. Not a planner, but I'll do my best to address that particular question. The City fully accepts all of the mitigation requirements, and we understand our obligation to mitigate as required. Very standard mitigation requirement in this case. So while I am not familiar with what off-site mitigation banks there are, that's a possibility. I am not aware of any on-site mitigation locations. That's another possibility. But in any event, we will meet the mitigation mandate in the mitigation requirement. Hope that answers your question, but I am vaguely familiar with the various mitigation banks available in the Sacramento County area and also the surrounding area. I am just not intimately familiar with exactly where they are, and as well as the on-site mitigation opportunity.
Well, I guess my second question then would be, is it feasible that the city may require or may come to the LAFCO at some point in the future for additional sphere of influence adjustments in order to provide for additional open space to make up for the loss of impact on this property?
I do not anticipate that to happen. I'm certainly happy to come to LAFCO, to your commission at any time, but I do not anticipate that being one of the reasons. We do have a whole bunch of open space, preserved open space area north of White Rock Road. I don't know whether any of those will be suitable for mitigation land. If there are, great. If they're not, fine. We will accommodate and achieve the mitigation requirement. We fully accept that, so we will meet that.
So that's my question. Sounds like you're confident you have the open space to work with within the current city limits to meet the mitigation requirements.
We do. I just don't know where exactly, and certainly don't want to provide you with the wrong information.
No, I wasn't looking at specific sites. I just wanted to know that you're confident that you have the space to work with currently within your city boundaries.
My understanding, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And if not, offsite as well.
To follow up on that question, there's nothing in the environmental document that requires the mitigation to happen within city boundaries. Is that correct?
That is correct. And also, one of the dynamics in play that may benefit the outcome here is that the South Sac Habitat Conservation Plan is going through the final steps now, and one of the implementation measures for that would be the establishment of a conservancy. So that may be an entity that the city can have conversations with about coordinating with them, so that there may be some greater value opportunities for habitat that are not within the city limits, but that could satisfy this criteria and still be in harmony with the South Sac Habitat Conservation Plan.
And if I may add to that, thank you, Don. We are also a regulatory agency similar to the Commission. We require Swainson's Hawk mitigation for projects that occur within the city, for projects that come before the city. We require the same mitigation, so we will do the same for our own project.
Great.
Thank you.
Can we have the Cable Commission staff take down the PowerPoint? Go back to the live feed, please. Any questions for Executive Officer at this point? No?
I have a question. Or go ahead.
Commissioner Jones?
I just wanted to reiterate for the record that within the documents we have, the wastewater and drainage is supposed to remain as, nothing more is to be added to that until the appropriate hookups are made with the new development that's coming with this special planning area. So I wanted to confirm that. That's also part of the monitoring and mitigation plan, correct?
That is correct.
Mm-hmm. And City of Folsom is in partnership with the South Area Habitat Conservation?
I don't believe they're a signatory to it because the northern boundary has been the urban services boundary.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, similar to projects such as with Elk Grove that are not a signatory, but that your commission did put in place mitigation measures and terms and conditions that mandate compliance with or satisfaction to the criteria of that habitat conservation plan.
So that's etched within
right.
the documents, as well as the one-to-one ag
correct.
mitigation.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions at this point? Is there any other city representative or member of the public that would like to speak on this item? Seeing none, I will close public comment and go to Commissioner deliberation and/or a motion.
Chair, before we can do that, the LAFCO Council has one correction to the Resolution 2018-10-606-0107. We want to clarify there's an orphaned paragraph heading on page 5 of 16 that we would like to delete.
That's number 8, and will be deleted, and then we'll renumber. So page 5 of that resolution.
What's the numeration?
Pardon me? It was just an editing problem. It's a formatting.
I'll move the staff recommendation, including the correction.
Okay, so
stated
that
by
is
the-
all 4 resolutions, including the cleanup on Resolution 2018-10-0606-01-17. A second from Frost. All those in favor, please signify.
Aye.
And the motion passes. Madam Clerk, would you please call the next item?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and the members of the commission. We appreciate you taking the time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Wong. Have a good evening.
You too.
So the next item is Executive Officer and Commission Council questions and announcements.
Quickly, for the benefit of the commission, a couple schedule updates for y'all. We do have our annual summer recess next month, so there's no meeting in July. We will convene again in August. And then in anticipation of the Cal-LAFCO conference in October, that would conflict with our scheduled meeting date in October, so we may have to either move that or cancel that and move to skip it and go to November. Right now, we don't have any projects pending for that schedule. We have some items pending for August, September right now, so we should be in good shape on that. And I think that really, those are all the comments I have for you.
Very good. Any comments or questions from commissioners? Commissioner Greenwood.
Question. I didn't quite hear all of that. So we won't have a meeting in July. Is that what you were saying?
Yes, I apologize. To be clear, we're on recess after this meeting, so no meeting in July. The next meeting would be the first Wednesday in August.
Okay.
We then have a meeting scheduled for August and September, and we may cancel the meeting in October because of the timing of the Cal-LAFCO conference in the first week of October as well.
Okay.
And I think that the clerk has something that included some information on the annual conference in your packet, so if you want to work with that and work with Diane to get your arrangements made. It's in Yosemite Park, so it's a nice location.
Okay. I have trouble hearing sometimes.
I should have been more clear, sorry.
Is your office going to reach out to our staff to let us know, or do we need to let them know?
On the conference?
No, on the meeting.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
We already got a notice of some kind.
Absolutely. We'll keep you informed.
Very good. Any other questions or comments from commissioners? Yeah, Commissioner Jones.
Just a quick thank you to the commission for supporting my nomination for Cal-LAFCO, and that will be decided at the conference.
Great. Good luck. Thank you. Anything else? No. You sure? Commissioner Peters is half out of her chair already.
Patrick, bang the gavel.
All right. We stand adjourned.